A nation mourns the assassination of Martin Luther King Jr. Martin Luther King Jr. was a powerful voice for peace and equality. He fought for civil rights for all people. On April 4, 1968, tragedy struck. King was in Memphis, Tennessee, supporting striking sanitation workers. As he stood on the balcony of the Lorraine Motel, a shot rang out. King was rushed to the hospital, but it was too late. The bullet had been fatal. At just 39 years old, Martin Luther King Jr. was gone. The news of his assassination spread quickly, plunging the nation into mourning. People across the country were in shock and disbelief. King's death was a devastating loss for the civil rights movement. He had been a beacon of hope, and his assassination left a void that seemed impossible to fill. His death sparked riots and protests in over 100 cities. The nation struggled to cope with the loss of its most prominent civil rights leader. The manhunt. James Earl Ray becomes a fugitive. Immediately after the shooting, a massive manhunt began. The FBI launched one of the largest investigations in its history. The focus quickly turned to James Earl Ray, a known criminal who had escaped from prison. Ray was on the run, and the world watched as the search for him intensified. Witnesses reported seeing a man matching Ray's description fleeing the scene of the crime. A rifle was found near the motel, purchased under Ray's alias. The evidence seemed to point towards Ray as the prime suspect. The FBI placed a $100,000 bounty on his head, urging anyone with information to come forward. As days turned into weeks, the pressure mounted to find Ray. The public was desperate for answers, and the authorities were determined to bring King's killer to justice. The manhunt for James Earl Ray became a global affair, with his face plastered on wanted posters worldwide. Captured at last, Ray's arrest in London. After 2 months on the run, James Earl Ray was finally captured. He was apprehended at Heathrow Airport in London on June 8, 1968. Ray was attempting to board a flight to Belgium using a fake Canadian passport. His capture marked a turning point in the investigation. Ray's arrest brought a sense of relief to a nation still reeling from King's assassination. He was extradited back to the United States to face trial. The eyes of the world watched as Ray, a seemingly ordinary man, was accused of taking the life of one of history's most influential figures. The evidence against Ray seemed overwhelming. The prosecution had eyewitnesses, the murder weapon, and Ray's fingerprints on several items found at the crime scene. Ray's capture and extradition set the stage for a trial that would captivate the nation. A guilty plea and a life sentence. In a surprising turn of events, James Earl Ray pleaded guilty to the murder of Martin Luther King Jr. The trial was short-circuited, and Ray was sentenced to 99 years in prison. Ray's guilty plea sent shockwaves through the legal system and the public alike. Many questioned why Ray would plead guilty if he was innocent. Some speculated that he was pressured by his lawyer, who feared that a trial would result in the death penalty. Others believed that Ray had a deeper motive, perhaps hoping to profit from his infamy later. Despite his guilty plea, Ray maintained that he had not acted alone. He claimed to be part of a larger conspiracy, although he refused to name any co-conspirators. Ray's guilty plea, while bringing a sense of closure to the case, did little to quell the suspicions and conspiracy theories that swirled around the assassination. Section 5. Doubts linger. Ray recants his confession. Just days after his sentencing, James Earl Ray recanted his confession. He claimed that he had been coerced into pleading guilty by his lawyer. Ray's recantation threw the case into turmoil, raising more questions than it answered. Ray's claims of a conspiracy gained traction among some who believed that the official story was not the whole truth. They pointed to inconsistencies in the evidence and questioned whether Ray could have acted alone. Ray's recantation fueled the ongoing debate about what really happened on that fateful day in Memphis. Despite Ray's claims, the courts refused to overturn his conviction. His attempts to appeal his sentence were unsuccessful. Ray spent the rest of his life in prison, maintaining his innocence until his death in 1998. Section 6. conspiracy theories and a civil trial. In the years following the assassination, numerous conspiracy theories emerged. Some believed that Ray was part of a plot orchestrated by the FBI or other government agencies. Others suspected involvement by organized crime or white supremacist groups. One of the most prominent theories involved a Memphis nightclub owner named Lloyd Jowers. Jowers claimed that he had been paid to hire Ray as a hitman. In 1999, King's family filed a wrongful death lawsuit against Jowers. The civil trial provided a platform for exploring the various conspiracy theories surrounding King's death. The jury ultimately found Jowers liable for the assassination, awarding the King family $100 in damages. The verdict, while largely symbolic, gave credence to the belief that Ray may not have acted alone. Section 7. The Shadow of Doubt, Evidence and Inconsistencies. Despite the official narrative, questions remain about the evidence and the thoroughness of the investigation. Critics point to inconsistencies in eyewitness accounts, ballistics reports, and other forensic evidence. They argue that the investigation was rushed and that key pieces of evidence were overlooked or mishandled. Some experts have questioned whether the rifle found at the crime scene was actually the murder weapon. Others argue that the ballistics evidence does not definitively link the bullet that killed King to the gun attributed to Ray. The lack of a full trial prevented a thorough examination of the evidence. Ray's own behavior also raised suspicions. He was a career criminal, but he had no history of violence against African Americans. His decision to plead guilty and then recant his confession fueled speculation about his motives and whether he had been manipulated. Section 8. A legacy of questions. The debate continues. The assassination of Martin Luther King Jr. remains one of the most controversial events in American history. Decades later, debate continues about James Earl Ray's guilt, the possibility of a conspiracy, and the true motives behind King's murder. The passage of time has done little to quell the suspicions and unanswered questions surrounding the case. The official story has been challenged by researchers, historians, and members of the King family. New evidence has come to light, and old evidence has been re-examined, but no definitive answers have emerged. The debate over King's assassination is about more than just historical accuracy. It is about justice, accountability, and the search for truth. It is a reminder that even in the most high-profile cases, doubt can linger, and the quest for justice is often a long and winding road. Section 9. MLK's enduring dream, a call for justice and equality. Despite the tragedy of his death, Martin Luther King Jr.'s legacy lives on. His message of peace, love and equality continues to inspire people around the world. King's dream of a just and equitable society remains a powerful call to action. King's assassination was a devastating blow to the civil rights movement, but it did not silence his message. In the years since his death, countless individuals and organizations have worked tirelessly to carry on his legacy. They have fought for voting rights, economic justice, and an end to racial discrimination in all its forms. The struggle for equality is ongoing, but King's words and actions continue to provide hope and inspiration. His life and death remind us that the fight for justice requires courage, perseverance, and an unwavering commitment to creating a better world for all. Section 10. A nation remembers the importance of truth and reconciliation. The assassination of Martin Luther King Jr. was a national tragedy that continues to resonate today. It is a reminder of the deep-seated racism and violence that plagued America during the civil rights era and beyond. It is also a testament to the power of one person to make a difference. As we remember Martin Luther King Jr. and grapple with the legacy of his assassination, it is essential to acknowledge the complexities of history and the importance of truth and reconciliation. The search for answers about King's death is not just about the past. It is about understanding the present and shaping a more just and equitable future. By confronting the difficult truths of our history, we can learn from the mistakes of the past and work towards a future where all people are treated with dignity and respect. The legacy of Martin Luther King Jr. challenges us to never stop fighting for justice, equality, and the beloved community he so passionately envisioned.